Alberta Premier Danielle Smith unveiled sweeping changes to gender identity policies in her province this week.
I think that as adults, we have an obligation to ensure for kids that they preserve all of those important choices until they're adults, until they're able to make those decisions with the maturity that goes along with that.
Among the policy changes, students 15 and under who want to change their names or pronouns at school will need parental consent. Hormone therapy for gender reassignment purposes will be banned for youth 15 and under, and those 17 and under won't be allowed to have top or bottom gender-affirming surgeries, though bottom surgery is already banned for people under 18. The feds accuse Smith of putting transgender youth at risk, but say they're waiting to see how the policies are implemented before deciding how to confront them.
We are going to look at every option that we have, and this is our NATO moment as an LGBTQ2 community. An attack on one of our communities is an attack on us all, and I need allies and champions to stand up.
We asked for Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith for an interview, but she was unavailable. She will join me on Power Play tomorrow. Alberta NDP leader Rachel Notley is, however, with me now. Hi, Ms. Notley, good to see you.
Great to be here.
I appreciate you making the time. The Premier had signaled a few days ago at least, or a few days prior, that something would be coming as far as gender identity policy is concerned. Did you have any signals or any understanding that would be this broad in scope?
We had no expectation of that. In fact, even when she started signaling it, and claimed that there had been consultations, we started scrambling to find out, who had they been speaking with, what consultations, and we discovered that there were some random meetings with a few organizations at which the matter was not discussed, and certainly, so the consultations were sort of non-existent, and certainly the scope and the cruelty of what was rolled out yesterday surprised us.
I know, I listened to your press conference. I know you're vehemently opposed to what did come across from the Premier and the announced proposed changes. Beyond opposing it, what tools do you have, or what are you examining to be able to try and stop it, if that is indeed your aim?
Well, as the opposition party, our biggest tool, of course, is appealing to the people of the province to push their government to make kinder decisions. Danielle Smith can be as disingenuous as she wants and come across as calm and measured as she wants, but the words that she delivers are words that are designed to attack the safety of trans children and LGBTQ2S plus children, and frankly, any school child ultimately who can benefit from a proper education around sexual health. But let's talk about those who are most at risk and most targeted in this right now, which is of course transgender children whose lives are being put at risk by this suite of proposals. And I'm already impressed to see the upswing of community leaders across the political spectrum standing up to say that this is cruel and unnecessary.
I wanted to sort of put to you the framing that she put forward when she made this announcement. She insists it's not about targeting a minority, but aimed at, quote, protecting young people from making irreversible choices. And she also said that she thought at the end of the press conference that would resonate with parents. The idea that, look, you want to protect your kid from making a decision that they can't go back on at a young age. How would you respond to that?
Well, I would say, I think I don't actually think she wants the best for our children. I think Albertans want the best for their children, and I certainly want to see the best for our children. And we do want to protect them. So on that is true. But what they need to be protected from is the weaponized misinformation that the UCP and Danielle Smith have been spreading amongst communities across Alberta for months and years now, that is designed to divide and to scare, which is not actually talking about what's really happening. Children are not getting gender reassignment surgery in Alberta. Children are not getting gender-affirming care in Alberta without their parents' knowledge. Schools are not trying to teach children to be members of certain communities. What schools are doing is trying to provide a safe place for all kids, including LGBTQ2S plus kids and including trans kids. And so what's happening here, she talks about protection, it's because she's creating a fake crisis in order to play politics, but it's not real. And what we're going to do now is we are going, now that this issue has been raised up, we're going to talk about what's really happening.
I want to pick up on one point you made there around surgeries in particular, because I also listened to some of the data that was put out, and it was only for people over 18. Obviously, these changes target kids under 18. Is it your understanding that, for example, I know kids under 18 aren't getting bottom surgery anyway, but is it your understanding that they're also not receiving top surgery in Alberta right now?
My understanding is that at most there's been one surgery for anyone under 18, and in no cases did it ever happen without a tremendous amount of work with psychiatrists, psychologists, parents, counselors, and of course the physicians that were involved. But it's either one or none.
We are here in Ottawa. The federal government here has expressed very vehement opposition as well to what's happening, and said they're looking at a broad range of options. The Premier had left open the door to invoking the notwithstanding clause in order to get this kind of stuff passed, if it the form of it that takes legislation. She wouldn't be the first Premier to do that. Saskatchewan's Premier did the same on gender identity policy back in the fall, I believe. Do you think the federal government needs to look at a way of dealing with that?
Well, I think I certainly would. I mean, let me start with the fact that I'm very troubled by the recent frequency with which Conservative governments across this country are invoking the notwithstanding clause in order to avoid providing and securing the charter rights and freedoms that their citizens otherwise deserve. It seems to me that Conservatives, and particularly extremist right-wing Conservatives, don't care about our charter of rights and freedoms, don't care about the human rights of Canadians. And so that is a threat, because of course we know the notwithstanding clause was never designed to be used as casually and as Conservative governments are currently using it, primarily Conservative governments. And so that is a problem. Now, the way in which it can be fixed is complicated and challenging, because of course we have an amending formula, and I'm not sure that one can change that without using the amending formula, and we all know that that is very challenging right now. So I'm not sure. I'd be interested to hear what tools are in the federal government's toolbox, or whether the courts themselves can weigh in on the application and the scope of the notwithstanding clause's use. But we do have to do something.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. Ms. Notley, I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.